what we want to do is to get the DNA from the somatic cells and put it into an egg. So we want to put the DNA from the fetal cell into the egg, and then implant the egg into a surrogated monkey. And then the DNA can represent the fetal cell. So if you have the DNA for the fetal cell, and then you can clone numerous DNAs. So that's what we call the somatic cell transfer. The purpose is to create a group of genetically identical macaques. So we can use all of these macaques for scientific research and also use them as a foundation to look into the brain diseases. I want to introduce the context first. So this work was taken place in the Institute of Neuroscience of Chinese Academy of Science. We also call it like a Brain Intelligence Innovation Center. In the end of the 90s, the former president initiated a big project, what we call the innovation project. Within the framework of that project, we established a brand new Institute of Neuroscience, and we hired a group of scientists. Now this institute has been for 18 years right now. Not a long history, but now we have become the well-known Institute of Neuroscience. I was appointed as the director of Institute of the Neuroscience. I have a very heavy responsibility of myself. So our goal is to get great achievements for brain intelligence. So I have been carrying more tasks in the past 18 years. So per request of the Chinese Academy of Science and on the Institute of Neuroscience ourselves, so we want to reach a breakthrough. So we want to reach a quantitative as well as a qualitative breakthrough. We want to get more incremental innovation. You can see a lot of articles in Cell and other magazines, but what we want to achieve is the incremental achievements. So means that we have to find out a brand new area for achievement and to achieve a milestone. If you cannot achieve a breakthrough, no matter how many articles you publish for CAS, it's useless. For each scientific area, we understand which are the important issues. In the past few years, we didn't reach that breakthrough. It's because we don't take the efforts to complete those tasks. We have to build constant breakthroughs. But I think one breakthrough is not enough. One breakthrough cannot make us the leader. Just as President Xi said at the beginning, we followed, and at the end, we want to become the leader. Many scientists, just like a group of tourists, the tour guide takes the team to a tourism spot, and these scientists will start to find out new areas for discovery. But some of them, dare not go too far. They just discover new things in a very limited scope. In the end, the tour guide said that now we need to move to another area, and then the scientists gather together and move to another area. But I think scientists cannot just follow. They should lead. They should act as the tour guide. They need to find out new discoveries instead of following what others did. That's what we call lead the team. Now let's go back to the topic, how can we make breakthrough? First, we need talents. In China, we're full of talents. We have a lot of gifted people who can do it. And also, we need scientific conditions and the resources. In this area, maybe we're not good enough. But with these two, it's still not enough. We need the courage of the scientist. We have the talents and then the resources. We need the scientists to have the courage to do something others didn't do. If they're afraid of failure, and then they cannot achieve breakthrough. And also, we require collaboration and cooperation of the team to make breakthrough. For a very important issue, we need the team to work together. So teamwork also plays an important role. And our institute wants to create such a team. The team should be diligent and hardworking. And they will never give up, even though they encounter some obstacles. Never give up. That is the spirit. And the team members should consider the team instead of personal benefits. For individuals, if they want to achieve personal achievements, they will forget the team. That's not what we want. Teamwork is our spirit. "60 or 70 years ago, we do have some achievements coming out of the teamwork. That is the synthesis insulin. And we can see some of the achievements we have for this year also came out from the teamwork. Some of the work is recognized around the globe. What I have mentioned is want to emphasize that teamwork is the key for success. Later, we can show you that Dr. Sun Qiang's team make this achievement. In Shanghai, even though we don't have the natural resources for the monkeys, so we just like rent a tourism spot for the research in Xishan district. Xishan has a very poor condition, so the scientific team cannot eat in the canteen. They have to go out to purchase the food and then cook for each other. So for 7 days a week, everyone needs to rotate to take on the job. Just these 17 people, they work together as a team for 5 years. And then they got this achievement. We have different roles for these 17 people. Some of them used to work as veterinarian. If they work in other places, maybe they could have earned more money. Instead, they joined the scientific team to do this research with the leadership of Sun Qiang. And some of them even not going back to their hometown during Spring Festival because they are waiting for the birth of the Kinomes.
Last, I also would like to talk about the Dr. Sun Qiang, Dr. Liu Zheng are all graduated from China's universities. Actually, they can study abroad, and when they came back to China, they have better salaries and incomes. And when they are actually get their master degrees, they already issued a journal. And also, so Dr. Sun Qiang, Liu Zheng, Qiu Zirong, they all have the opportunities to study abroad and also do their research at the best laboratory in the United States. But why they want to stay here? And for now, we can tell their decision is very a correct one. If they actually was in other top laboratories, they may not get this opportunity for clone monkeys. If they in United States laboratories, maybe it's not really, because there's a very high risk, because this is more to create something new, to make breakthroughs. So they may not really bold enough to make something new. So I believe they stay here and got this very good opportunity. And in the end, it turns out we have a very good results because we had the cloned monkeys. They are so popular, and a lot of universities actually invite them, but they really like to stay and make contributions. We have a lot of students and doctors like Liu Zheng. And with the policies should also enhanced in this regard to cultivate or to remain our talents, because right now we need to really support our talents and remain them in our team to make greater contribution, to play a better roles. In the future, I really encourage we have the policies to encourage our young talents to stay in China, to stay in Chinese laboratories, because right now we also have the cutting edge laboratories in China, but there are not a lot of Chinese students here because we not really have the policy that encourage them to stay. So a lot of them actually in the end go to the other countries' laboratories. You see right now a lot of scientific researches or the very great results, actually a lot of them developed or have been done by the Chinese students. So all I'm saying here is this is very important for us to cultivate or encourage the young talents to stay here, to stay in China. We need to use the policies to encourage them to stay. And yesterday also at the meetings with the Chinese Academy of Science, I also talked to the deans. Always believe that at least for CES, we should encourage the local students to stay. We do not have the policy to say you have to go abroad to study and then come back. We want to give the very enabling environment for local students to make contribution. And I would like to stop here. But before stop, I also would like to touch upon one more thing. So right now we're doing the somatic cells nuclear transfer on macaque. So we can do a very identical monkeys based on these technologies. And this is the somatic cells clone. And we use the macaque to do as our models. We use mass before as our research models. And we did a lot of research actually in this regard on mass. We did a lot of researches on mass, and besides mass, we also would like to do the research on macaque. It's not an easy job because we didn't have done a lot of macaque models before. So with clone, right now we can do the somatic cells nuclear transfer on macaque. For cloned monkeys, let me first to say, like for the normal monkeys, if you don't to reproduce the next generation, you need to bring the one male and the female monkeys together. And for the cloned monkeys, actually it's very simple. They can produce a new genetically identical monkey within 6 months. As long as you have the fetal monkey cell and one egg, it's very easy and actually can shorten the reproduction period within 1 year. And it also helps us can do a very precise and complex DNA reprogramming. We can alter the genes to see whether we can bring our research in the end into deal with the human diseases. And actually that's need a lot of researches on different kinds of animals. But it's a very, very difficult part. It's quite challenging because we face different kinds of issues. If you do the vitro programming, that's easier. Where we talk is like the external DNA reprogramming, it's easier. So there's some very minor impacts to the research results in terms of different macaques and different DNA. And before, actually, we exported a lot of macaques to United States because in United States they use macaque for clinical medicine application. They see if the medicine works on macaque, then they will roll out to the human beings. Because we want to do a lot of research before we put on human beings. So every year, more than 100,000 monkeys sacrificed for the clinical purpose. Clone technology actually help us in this regard. We can, through the cloning techniques, to tell whether the medicine works or not, or whether the medicine actually has the desired impact to cure the disease. A company in the United States called Jackson Laboratory. They are quite well-known laboratories. Previously, for China, actually was spent a great number of money on the Jackson's lab for the research on mice. They have more than 7,000 species available in that lab. And right now, in Shanghai, we can establish a non-human primate laboratory. That's actually, we can establish the whole industrial chain that's also needed for the world scientific purpose. And we can build a base in Shanghai for this global needs. And we can do DNA reprogramming and do different models to deal with different kinds of disease. As long as we find a disease, that must have something happened in DNA or in genes. So we do cloned monkeys, we do different kinds of cloned animals to curve a disease in like brains, because right now we have a lot of disease in brain that's really lack of medicines. So we can use a lot of clone monkeys for us to do the research and to build up the models in brain science and intelligence technology. And actually, this is the bright future for the application of cloned monkeys. Talk about the clones. These two monkeys actually can help us to advance the research in brain science and intelligence technology. For China, we will soon start a big project. We're dealing with the brain science and intelligence in primate. We want to do a lot of research in the brain disease of primate. For clone monkey, really a very important role that can be played in advancing the technologies to deal with brain disease. So we have these standardized techniques, we have the standardized models, especially like standardized cloned monkeys to help us to build up the foundations for future development and researches. So Shanghai right now, we are making our first move in this regard. So the Shanghai Institute of Neuroscience of CES, within few months, we will soon set up an international research center of primate. This is a very big organization to do more research and development in the primate. We want to build a unique industrial park or industrial chain, that we can produce different kinds of models of monkeys, and we can provide these to the different institutions, to like Jackson Lab. We can produce the different models of monkeys to the clinical purpose usage or for the medicine companies. This is something new for us. This is a new world. So we not only use mass right now, we enlarge our scope from mass to monkeys. This is a very big move. This is a big breakthrough, because all we are doing is want to bring closer to deal with human disease. And the Shanghai municipal government is really interested in this regard. They also encourage us to establish this center in Shanghai. We will soon build up this center in Shanghai within a few months. Why it's called International Center? Because Shanghai would also want to be a hub of research of primates. And we also like to, if you want to do the research, please come to Shanghai. If you want to use our cloned monkey, please come to Shanghai. And also want to be a hub of talents. We want to gather the talents here in Shanghai. If I know all of our media friends presented today have keen interest in this regard. And thank you all for your support. And last, let me show you a video clip. It's Zhongzhong and Huahua. They're the two cloned monkeys. 2 days ago, Zhongzhong is 10 days earlier. So this one is Zhongzhong, born 10 days earlier than Huahua. These two, let's simply call them twins. And they are genetically identical. So Huahua is a little bit smaller in size. They are like small keys. You know, keys grow up very, very fast, and they are very different day by day.
Difference from the press. So some of the articles have been published because they have the copyright. But you can like send your articles to us. Next, the Cell magazine. I believe many of them know it. We designed a cover page for them. You can see the very famous, legendary in China, the monkey to the west. So we designed the front page like twin monkeys on the front page. It's like Zhongzhong and Huahua just with a single blow, and they were born. But for Americans, maybe they don't understand it quite well because they never read Journey to the West. But that's the story we want to tell. They insist us to show the real monkeys. So this is the next version. Please don't publish that, because this one will be published on February the 8th. At the beginning, we want these two monkeys to hold the globe, and then we highlight China. That's our idea. But this one also looks good. But we need to pay attention to another magazine, a domestic magazine. We call it the National Science Review, the NSR. So we use the two monkey kings as the cover. This is the March issue, but And in the February issue, we have a summary, and we explain quite well for the significance of the Kinome monkeys. We also have a Chinese version. This one, we basically use it to send it to overseas, so you can check the Chinese version on our website. This kind of review is in the category of general science in other countries. We think this domestic magazine has a more significant meanings in 2017. Well, that is my speech. Next, I would like to invite Sun Qiang to give us a work report. So we just talked about the breakthrough and what we did in order to achieve that breakthrough. Yesterday, we have a press conference, but 3 directors insist to stay for the press conference, even though they had another meeting later. They're very interested in the report that delivered by Mr. Sun. Thank you for Mr. Pu's context and the background introduction. So I will go directly to my work. I feel a little bit embarrassed because we arrived late today. Sorry for the delay again. Mr. Pu just told us that we needed a breakthrough. In his 18 years of leadership, he bears a lot of responsibilities, so as our Institute of Neuroscience. Actually, in 2011, we have 1 Kinome monkeys, but that was not a successful one. But I'm very impressive because at that time, Mr. Pu told us that Kinome monkeys will be a very important topic for us in the future. This is an article from a United States laboratory, and they have an article about the cloning of the non-human primate research. These are some images of the monkey pregnancy. So for monkeys, they carry the baby for around 160. But if we did not pay enough attention, probably the baby will be aborted. So in 2012, I took the job, tried to prepare for the next generation of the monkeys. I have to make very solid preparation. First, I would like to talk about the technology for somatic cells cloning. So I want to talk about 2 types of cells. One is the fetal cell. The other one is the somatic cell. With the splitting of the cell, and then the monkey get pregnant. Just like what humans did, the pregnancy for monkeys are 160 days. This is a process. For an embryo, after going through the earlier stage, it will be implanted into the body of the mother. So after the splitting of the embryo, some of the embryo will be used for other purposes. And we have limited number of embryos. For the goal for the cloning technology, it's not about giving birth to twins, because we want to generate numerous genetically identical primates.我继续点，要么去找个人。
核去掉，然后体外培养的体细胞跟这个卵母细胞放到一起，再想办法让它的核进入这个卵母细胞，然后再把它激活，那么就变成一个克隆胚胎。那么这个克隆胚胎再移植到一个同期同步的，也就是说月经周期差不多时间的同步发情的这个另一只头段的输卵管和子宫里，让它发育，最后成为一个个体，那么再出生就可以生出一个小猴。 我叫克隆猴。如果这一次由我体细胞无限，那么卵母细胞理论上我也可以，只要有足够核，我也可以去选择。我反复制做，那么都是用这个体细胞。
somatic cells. Then we will have numerous eggs. So what we need to do is to cultivate the somatic cells. Even though it sounds easy, but it's not. When we took the assignment in 2012, I think it is a very difficult task. We know that 20 years ago, Dolly the Sheep, I believe most of you heard about the story about Dolly the Sheep. At that time, the social media is not very popular, because if Dolly the Sheep was born today, then you will receive a lot of messages and get a lot of public exposure about it. After Dolly the Sheep was born, I went to Beijing and attended a meeting to discuss how can we make Kinome Pandas. But we didn't make it in the end. But from 1997 to 2005, we did a lot of clones. For example, the cattle, goats, and the pigs. These are very successful clones. And we also do some clones for rats and dogs, which are used for disease research later on. And I just show you the research from the United States, showing the research about the non-human primates. Even though the article was published years ago, but until 2017, we didn't see any successful examples of non-human primate clones. According to this table, you can see a lot of progress from different institutions on the implant of the embryo. Even though some of the institutions make great progress, but still in the end, the monkey was not able to deliver the clone babies. For the United States Research Center, after 81 days, they lost the baby. It sounds very easy. You just need to clone a monkey egg and implant it into a surrogate body. But that sounds very easy. It's not easy to implement. We have only 17 people in our team, so we cannot produce tens of thousands of monkeys. We have to be very cautious about the monkeys. And we know that in order to generate a baby, we need the sperms to integrate with the egg, but the possibility is not that high. So, the early stage, we don't consider a lot about the sperm. At the beginning stage, the sperm will enter into the egg. Before the entry of the sperm, the egg will die in the end. So after the sperm enter, and then it will be integrated and activated. There is a metaphor about it. You need to have a kiss of the sperm in order to wake up the egg. Many experience showing that without the interference of sperm, the egg will also divide it into several cells.
灵长类就包括人，我们管猴子叫非人灵长类，我们知道人也是灵长类的。那么就是人和
We call monkeys
在4到8细胞这块有
or macaque non-human primates.
才能支持后续发育。如果没有精子这份基因组的话，
We need the interference of sperm.
共同启动起来，后续发育就没了。所以，那么一是，那我们知道这个体细胞克隆是没有精子受精的过程，是我把
For the somatic cell, actually we don't have the interference
所以第一
of
个
the
阶段是
sperm.
什么？那当然是我们能构建这样的。
Instead of inserting
那么第二
a sperm,
要把这胚胎能正常激活。
we put a fetal monkey
第
cell
三个节点就是什么？
inside of the egg.
结合在一起。那么如果结合在一起，我们说第二个节点是什么？是核基因组怎么被激活，让它能够延续下去。那么体细胞核移植的核基因组激活是困难的，它不会像精子，因为我刚才讲了，它本来就干这个。
And we need to activate the somatic cell.
克隆胚胎的不是这样的，所以我们在专业术语上，就核基因组启动前，体细胞经历一个什么早期胚胎这个核状态，
Before
恢复到早期胚胎核状态的过程，也就是说，这本来是一个
the nuclear gene
皮肤的呈现为
activated,
那么它要在这个短短的时间内4到8细胞之前，让如何去
the somatic cell need to go through a reprogramming process,
开这个能力，
meaning that the somatic cell need to go back to the stage
那么再重建成
for a earlier embryo.
理解。那么只有这核基因组启动，你才有可能后边形成优质的胚胎，然后最后才能变成个体。那么
We need the nuclear gene to be activated first
核基因启动好。那所以我
for
们
future development of the embryo.
尤其在灵长类有关键点，一个就是你胚胎构建，你首先得做成这样，对吧？
So the key is to
克隆胚胎。那么还有人
construct the somatic cell
它
first.
能够像受精卵那样往下走去发育。
Then you have to
还有核基因
activate
然后
the somatic cell.
就说当我们把这个
And the third step
受体
is to activate the nuclear
我
gene.
们现在暂时干预不了，为什么？因为它是猴子子宫瘤，没法干预。但是所有这之前
And then is the pregnancy stage of the surrogate
第二过程
surrogate monkey.
都是我们的技术和干预手段可以在体外进行，我们可以对它进行实时干预。
So for the later stage, we cannot interference, but we can interfere with the early 2 stages. One is the constructs of the
在受精过程
embryo,
胚胎构建
the other one is the
这
activation.
个要什么？要核移植技术。那么我们的技术
We will use the implantation of the nuclear in order to construct the embryo.
起的比较困难，因为它本来就讲体细胞它不是干这件事的，所以这是最关键的，所以要解决这个问题。
But for the activation of the nuclear gene, it's not that simple. So we need to put some
但是
external
后期的发育效果也好。
stimulation about it.
为了解决这个问题，我们就得一个一个来，一个一个来。
So for these 4 key steps, we have to pay attention to it one by one.
如果你构建不了这个克隆胚胎的话，不能把体细胞跟那个去核卵母细胞放到一起，那后边是都扁塌。那我们就看看这个体细胞克隆。
The key point is to put the fetal monkey cell together with the monkey egg. If this process fails, and we cannot continue the process.
那这是小手指，大家看到这个就是它。
This is a video to show how we remove the nuclear of the cell for a rat.
因为看得非常清楚，对准了这里，OK， 很容易是吧？但是大家再看右边这个图，这是一个猴子的。
But look at the photograph on the right side.
就是说把这个胚胎吸住，把它绑回来，它不要动的时候，就跟这个一样。那么大家你在这里能看到任何这样一个圈吗？是看不到的。
We have to fix it and then try to remove the nuclear.
那你
But it's quite difficult for the monkeys
那么小手卵大概70微米，它的核。
compared to the rats.
那么我们这个
For the size of the egg of macaque, it's around 120 millimeter, and for the rats, it's around 70 millimeter.
就得采用一些特殊的方法看到。那么有一种叫天面光的技术，那么就是光。
So we use a special technology to show the
大家可能还没这个概念。
egg of the macaque.
那么我们下面看这个视频就行了，那就是我们要练这个技术。
Later, I will play you a video on the steps on removing the nucleus of the egg.
So this is the technology called polarized lights. So by different lightings, you can see the whole process of denucleation. So you can see like bright and dark. So by doing this change of lights, we can know the whole process.
我是补一，刘真是补二。那么这个也有故事。我当时在这个扬州大学读书的时候，当时扬大就有一个政策，就说你自己学校考博士毕业，你自己学校培养，即使你到外边去读，
So back to my university time, I'm 100% educated in China. I didn't have any opportunity to go abroad.
他不看，只要你是外边的博士毕业，来扬大工作，当时就给20万的安家费，还给开启学费。所以这种政策一直在，到现在还在有。
And we also have very good policies that encourage students to keep studies in my university. So I studied in my university till the doctor degree. And Liu Jin is also one of the current team member. And he also got a master degree from my university. So I also assigned him a very important job. He said why Liu Jin did a great job, because that's the question asked by a correspondent. Actually, the answer I gave is very simple, just keep doing again and again. So for this exploration, we did several times, so we can manage it in a very precise and accurate manner. Because if we have any mistake happen in this stage, then the embryo cells will not develop. So this is a very important milestone. If we separate in a round manner, then the spindle body or the spindle will be damaged. So you can see this is the live picture or a picture we captured during the process. So by doing so, we can have the cloned embryo. So you can see we use laser to cut a small entrance. So this is also required around 1 to 2 seconds. So all the process should be finished within 15 seconds. So the whole process actually was operating under the change of lights. So we should manage this technology in a very, very good level. We practice actually for a year and a half. So right now we can operate in a very short time period with very high techniques. And later on we will look at a later stage of embryo development. This is the periodical papers from others. So this is the comparison between cattle, mice, pig, and monkey. We look at the development of the embryo cell. So we also do the development or the cultivation externally, so in vitro. We will see whether we can establish the good quality embryo, the one that shows at the bottom left. So here we see we have the internal cell groups. We will see whether the embryo can develop into this stage. So this is a real picture we captured, a good quality embryo cell.
因为这个囊粉箱的枝芽外胚层主要是形成胎盘的，所以它可以怀孕，但是它不会长胎儿，只长了一个胎盘组织细小的，我们叫孕囊。那么后期我们的工作也证明是好多是孕囊怀孕，就是没有看不到胎心，那么是这样的，所以有这两个难点。
And a lot of actually the eggs do developed, but in the end we didn't really have a monkey produced. So by saying so, it's like a cloned embryo. Actually, sometimes the sperm or the egg not really have a very good nice keys to wake up the sperm, or the sperm not really wake up the egg. So in the end, we not really get a monkey. So here is the cloned embryo, and that's kind of under the observation. We try to activate the embryo, and you can see we developed to 4 cells, 8 cells. That's the whole process. Actually, what kind of the enabling environment we need, actually, that's all a learning curve. We try different ways to know which is the best condition to wake up and develop the cells of cloned embryo. And we do the comparison, and we found the 2 best environments to wake up the cloned embryo. Let's look at the development rates. Developmental rates. So unfortunately, by then we didn't get any good quality embryo. So if we don't have the good quality embryo in the end, we couldn't have any monkey or any cloned monkeys. So this is kind of the embryo we got. So that's really didn't help. So we have to work on to strive for the best ones, to look at how we can get the good quality embryos. Of course, we experience all different kinds of failures. I will not touch upon that. So we found these called epigenetics. This is the new method or the new organizations we found, and this really help us to improve the ratio of development and help us increase from 0 to 7. So we got 7 very good quality of embryo. Before just none, right now we have 7. The ratio reached up to 7. But we didn't tell by then whether that 7 can in the end develop to a real monkey. So we use histone by different ways, and we've also found other people to actually publish a periodical in 2014, and they did a comparison within the same laboratory works. But the results more or less the same among different laboratories. So we tried different methods, and actually we got very desired results.
克隆胚胎里边，所以这有个视频就是这个注射过程，就是它是一种
And this is a process of injection. So we injecting the KDM4. So this is the process. So we inject into the cell. So that's the embryo cells. And we are very luckily got the desired results. And this also help us to improve or tripled our ratio. And we got nearly 30% of good quality embryo. I say, okay, then let's move on to the next stage. We move on to next milestone. Because in the end, all we want by the end of the day is we want cloned monkey really burned. So we have the period. For monkeys, if we wait for the period, that's period actually 28 days. So if they got their period, then we need to wait for 28 days. So it's like you have a holiday of 28 days. Then that's really, it delayed the time or delayed the process. Because this is really highly confidential, a lot of people actually didn't know where we are with what we were doing. And actually we borrowed a lot of different cloned embryo or different kind of embryos from other laboratories. We got around 127 oocytes. And among them, 79 very good. We do the embryo implant, and we got 2 at field. We didn't test or find the signal of heart beating. Very luckily, we have 2 as the live one, and we use that too to develop cloned monkeys. And we already know them. And we took the pictures and the videos on a regular basis. We have Zhongzhong and Huahua. So 2 days ago, Zhongzhong around 59 days, Huahua around more than 40 days.
We only got the eggs from 6 monkeys, and then we got 2 alive. So you can see it is quite a good efficiency. So Mr. Pu just said that hundreds of thousands of monkeys exported to foreign countries, including like 100,000 macaques. So this development rate is quite good, like 65%. This efficiency is very high. And I have another video. You can see Zhongzhong is energetic. It's around like 50 days, and Huahua still very weak in its muscles. They grow very fast. You can see now they want to bite things. They develop very fast with their teeth. After we have these monkeys born, and I also want to mention our team. For the rest of the team except myself and Liu Zhen, the other members are very important for the team as well. For the birth of the monkeys, based on the tradition, the mother monkeys gave birth in very late evening. So we also need to take good care of the mother monkey, otherwise it will die.
相对弱一点，会早产，它的胎盘发育不是太好。那怎么办？
Because of the embryo development is not that strong,
猴子它在胎生产的时候，
so we need to pay attention to the mother monkey.
我们就要发
And the monkey cannot tell us that
这只猴子就是要离产
she's going to give birth.
经典的动作，那么它会把屁股撅着。
But they have some like very typical gestures to show that it is about to give birth.
看到这个，我们就弄了个监听。
For example, this gesture.
我们觉得我们这个在基地上比较辛苦。
We have to monitor them closely on every movement of the mother monkey.
我们就把它用做监控，因为看得更清楚。那么
This is the monitoring system.
白天晚上有一个人都盯着，尤其兽医晚上要24小时值班。
We have the veterinarian
他跟盯着人打瞌睡，也想
to look at the monkeys 24 hours a day on a shift basis.
晚上这课，因为你讲24小时坐那看屏幕还是很累的。然后他打瞌睡，要求他半个小时要给这个兽医总管发一个信息。
So we also have like a system.
如果不发，那么
For example, every half an hour you send a text message to this veterinarian just in case he fell asleep.
那么就这样，我们能确保什么？才能确保这个动物安全生产。所以我说，在
By doing this, we can ensure the safety of the mother monkeys.
精心的照顾，不照顾的话，那么这两只猴子，这两只
During the process,
生中出生的日期
we have to take good care of the babies and the mothers as well.
凌晨来出生。那这个日子是什么呢？就是我们所
So in midnight, finally,
正好
one of the baby monkey
我们的
born
这个兽医王燕，
on November the 27th.
今天我就不秀他图了，让我很感动，就是说，
At that time, our veterinarian posted a message.
被窝里睡得很香，他也跳起来，
I was so moved by his message.
猴子有问题了，要来处理。
He said that every time I receive a message at night,
就像一个新闻一样，
I would jump out immediately because I understand maybe there's something goes wrong with my
这
monkey.
些猴出来，尤其这两只克隆猴出来很金贵，那我们不敢把它放回它的
These
袋
two macaques are very precious.
不喜欢它或者某一天，
We cannot put these babies
这两个是按蒲老师说是国宝，
to be with their
要精心的照顾。
surrogated mother
兽医啊，还要
just in case the mother will kill them
一样
by accident.
照顾这两个孩子。那这个就是我们的一个兽医。
So for our veterinarian, they need to act as nurse to take good care of the baby monkeys.
当然了，那么团队的努力最后还要证明什么？要证明你的头饰。那我们大家都知道，现在亲子鉴定也很流行，是吧？那么
With the achievement,
它的 DNA 亲子
we also want to check the DNA for these clone monkeys.
每个人都具有自己的特殊的一份。那我们猴子也有，猴子有21对染色体。
And after the test,
21染
we can see that
一个以上，
Zhongzhong and Huahua has exactly
那么最后证明这个
identical genes.
就是它的序列都是相同的，证明它就是来自于跟这个供体的供体的体细胞是一样的。
You can see we have different colors, those highlighted in red, meaning that the gene is the same.
那么这样的工作成功，最后首先要感谢蒲老师，既给我了一个
In the end, I want to give my gratitude to Mr. Pu. Thank you for his trust and the opportunity,
没有进展的。
even though he always gives me precious.
当猴子怀孕了，我们就判断，因为在
Every time I have a progress,
120天以后，天
I also feel very panic
出动员，就怕猴子，希望猴子到足月，然后
because during the pregnancy,
在8月份，
I just worry that the mother cannot carry the baby.
我们都没敢跟蒲老师汇报。后来有一天，蒲老师汇报了，来直接问我们了，我们就没法不说了。我们说我们有可能做成了，但是很可惜，那只隔了30个小时。
One time, Mr. Pu asked me about like the status, the progress of the monkeys. Sometimes we're very afraid to tell him the results.
这个24小时值班结束的。
Also, I want to thank the team of the veterinarian for their 24-hour hard work of taking care of the surrogated monkeys.
时间比在家里长，感谢他
and some of them spend more time in our research center than their home. Thank you so much for your contribution. Next, we have a Q&A section. I'm from Chengdu Merchant Newspaper. You mentioned that the reason why we choose monkey because they have similar genes like a human. Why you chose macaque instead of other monkeys which have more identical genes compared to human? This is a good question. For a experimental animal, we have to protect the species for the animal as well. For example, wild animals, we will not pick those animals. And for macaque, we have a group of macaque that was living in the zoo. In the past, some people may pick gorilla as the experimental animal, but in the end, we found macaque is more appropriate because they are very strong in the reproduction. Because we don't want to wait after we go past the reproduction period in order to make our experiment. And the macaque is the only non-human primate that can be used for research. For some of the gorilla, they are actually protected by the local government, and we cannot use those species. In the past, people picked different kinds of animals, and we found macaques have very fast rates for the reproduction. But for the gorilla, the reproduction cycle is relatively slow. And we also see tens of companies in China who raise monkeys. And you just mentioned that these two monkeys are genetically identical, but what are the differences for these two monkeys? Well, the size is different, that is one aspect. But I think according to the epigenetics, there must be some differences for these two monkeys, but we have to check. But now, visually, we can tell the size is different. And my question is, now their gene is identical, but at later stage, are they going to be different with each other? For example, the development of the brain and other organs?
It's like twins. Twins, at the very beginning, you can tell they look very similar. They're identical, but when they develop and grow up, you can tell they are two different identities. So it's same for these monkeys. For DNA, although we removed DNA, but still we remain part of the DNA from the donated cell from the mother. So in the end, they will be different. So if we only talk about nuclear transfer, then they are the same in nuclear. So we tell right now the cloned monkeys are successful. Then what about human cloning? For clone, that's the clone monkeys actually belong to primate. It can be achieved for human cloning principally. But our purpose is not in the end to want to clone human beings. We want to understand more about human disease, and all we are doing here is want to do more for research into human disease, especially for the brain disease. We also should follow the ethical. It's not allowed to do human cloning. We know the CES actually is government or the national based, and you also have your own ethical committees. So I can tell you 100% that we do not have any plan in human cloning. And we're also through a very strict standard evaluation on monkey clones. And we also follow the international practice and standards. We know this will be soon become a very hot debated topic at the international stages. Any technology, any techniques, of course, with two sides, have good sides and bad sides. Like AI, it's hot debated topics right now at the international stage, and of course it brings the benefits to all, and also in the end we also worry about the negative impact. It's the same thing to the clones. Of course we should have more rules and regulations in this regard to avoid bad things happen, but till now we do not have any negative case happened in clone. For genetic clone, it started in 1970s, and the people really panicked to say, oh, one day we will be all replaced, or we have the impact or threatened by human cloning. But we can tell that we have really the strict standard and ethical principles to be followed. And we should be 100% trust the society. Talking about the regulations. So Mr. Pu, do you have any suggestions? It's like stem cell application. We have really strict rules and regulations actually already published. So we fully believe for cloned monkeys, actually, the principle is really easy. It's like we help our clients or help the society to know more about human disease, and we find out more methods to cure human disease. my question is like for these two cloned monkeys, they're all female. So it's for the design purpose. Actually, the embryo we got is 2X. So right now we also get the chromosome in XY. So it's like if we had two monkeys that's all male monkeys, so I believe you will ask them similar questions. So the chromosome we got at the beginning is 2X. So also have XY cell or chromosome available now. So also know like in the future or this month we have the third clone monkey born. And do you have any detailed plan for the future? Or any challenge in ethical areas and how we deal with the challenges or how we control the ethical challenge. So talking about our future, talking about how we can apply this technology. I want to use clone techniques to produce genetically identical mammals, and we want to do the research into human disease and know exactly why we have this disease and how we can cure the disease. This is also our next step. Talking about your questions regarding ethics, as Mr. Pu introduced, we have the committee in the United States. You should follow two principles. It's a reduction principle. It's when the genetic identical marrows, where we have the monkeys that's 100% identical in genes. We need to use a large number of monkeys to do the research, but right now we can easily get a large number of monkeys with genetically identical mammals, then that helps to largely reduce the monkeys we use. So that's follow the principle of reduction. Right now in China, for non-human primates, actually we have the more than 10 institutions that got the certification from the United States top-level committee. And later on, we built our own facilities or our own research center. And we also have higher standards. As A-like in the United States, we have an even higher standard in Europe. So we will follow the higher standards right now practiced in Europe. For the jobs that's made by the veterinarian, because monkeys, they have period, so they will not tell you when they will get their period. So we have the we put the monkeys in a very larger space. That's around 20 square meters. We know monkeys would like to live in a group. We put 10 to 15 monkeys in one room. It like required around 1 square meters per monkey. For this large amount of monkeys, it's really difficult for you to really observe each of them every day because you need to take care of more than 30 monkeys. We had a good interaction between monkey and veterinarian. So let me put it into a very plain language. We always put the colored glasses. We always think, or we not have enough confidence in what we are doing in China. Actually, because of the cloned monkeys, it helps us to better understand human beings, better understand the human brain, better understand human disease. For the genetic purpose, maybe in the end, we want to clone human being. We should have laws to manage the whole industry and especially to regulate the practice. Because when we are get the first cloned monkeys, so maybe the international industries or the international societies maybe criticize the China's practice. Actually, why we success? Because we're working so hard, we work around the clock, we didn't give up ourselves, we didn't give up the experiments. In the end, we got this success. Actually, this is not something only did in China. This is the normal practice around the world. But just we got the first 2 monkeys. But you need a very bold talents. You need bold scientists to help you do this with very cutting-edge equipment. For ethicals, don't really struggle at the ethical issues because we follow the strict standard in this regard. President Xi also mentioned we would like to initiate the project of big science, or the international big science project. But before, a lot of the scientific practice, actually, we just follow or give support of the projects that's led by other countries. And right now we want to initiate it. A lot of big projects and actually drive by China. The bigger size is Zhongzhong, the smaller size is Huahua.
And earlier we talked about the transgene monkeys, and monkey with certain kind of mental disease. What are the differences? And also you're talking about setting up like a center. So what is the reproduction scale? We want to understand it. Well, that depends on the investment of the Shanghai municipal government. For transgene, meaning that put the gene into the egg, is different than the cloning technology. For the transgene monkeys, it's not a experimental monkey. For a experimental monkey, meaning that those group of monkeys are genetically identical. We publish a lot of articles. You can do transgene in embryo, but those monkeys cannot be experimental monkeys. The only models we can use is the Kinome monkeys. So we are very lucky to have Mr. Sun's team to use this somatic cell nuclear transfer technology to produce monkey clones. The next question is about the physical condition of the Kinome monkeys to see if they have a similar physical condition with a regular monkey. Based on our physical check of those macaques, we found that these macaque clones are quite energetic compared to a regular monkey. And another question, do you have a life expectancy for the monkey? So a regular life expectancy is about 30 years old, so I cannot answer your question now. So we don't know how long they can live. Well, in principle, they should live as long as these other regular monkeys, but it needs time to prove that. If they are infected by bacteria, that is another thing. And in raising these two macaques, what are some differences in raising them? The capacity right now, we want to produce 2 or 3 species of this kind of experimental monkeys, but it is not the final goal. We also talk about the reprogramming of the genes. If we do the reprogramming, does it have some influences for the monkey clones? Actually, we are working on the reprogramming of the gene outside of the body, the cell. It's not inside the body. Some of the cells we did reprogramming, but not all the cells. If we make the reprogramming of the cells inside of the embryo, that will be a risk. That's why we do it externally. So we do the reprogramming for a group of the identical cells, and then we pick the correct one and to implant it into the embryo. In the past, we think of doing some panda clones. Is it because of the ethical issues, so we did not do the Kinome pandas? Well, for pandas, it is a precious animal. We don't have a lot. So we need to find other species which have a very strong reproduction capability, so we do the clones. In the past, we want to protect the pandas. That's why we want to do the Kinome Panders. But now, panda is not an endangered animal species anymore. So maybe we don't have the need to reproduce more pandas now. I also want to ask a question. I want to know why Lyosha wants to stay in the team to do this project. He took over the project in 2012. And he published an article in
我们所跟国际的同等单位合作，
2016.
然后还有我们在领导类上这里已经做的很有眉头了。那么他在这个领域做，会更发挥他的特长。
And also, he had his own advantages in this area. If he work overseas, maybe he will work in another area. But with all of his experience, it's better that he uses it in our project.